healed. And he says, maybe one of the most well-known verses, at least in the Old Testament, Genesis chapter 50, verse 20, where he tells his brothers, what you meant for evil, God meant for good. What you meant for evil, God meant for good. And you just need to know this morning that maybe what Satan, what the enemy means for evil, maybe what other people have done for you meant for evil, God means for good. And we see that again in the gospel. Right, the most horrific thing that could possibly happen, that God himself would come and be killed by his own creation, is the very providence that makes it possible for us to have faith and experience the goodness of God. You see, providence sounds really good, right? It encourages us that God cares for us, but it's meaningless if Jesus didn't actually come to prove to us that this is actually a true statement. And so as I end, I would love to give you, if you're suffering right now, if life is really hard for you right now, I would love to give you 3 reasons why you can trust God in the midst of difficulty. But I don't have that. I think sometimes we just need to be honest that life sucks. We need to be honest that life feels like hell. And sometimes we have to do just like the giants of old in Hebrews 11 had to do. They simply had to have faith that God was good and that their reward that was coming to them was greater than anything they could ask or imagine. And this is why Christ came. We're going to walk out of here this morning, and you're still going to be in the same situation you were when you walked in, but I want you and I to remember that in the midst of all of that God cares and that he's near to us. And this is not just some make-believe, feel-good story. We know it's true because Christ came. Because Christ came. There are no accidents in the providence of God. And sometimes it is actually the pain and suffering in our lives that is God's grace to us, because it reveals to us our need for him. It helps us rely on him, the only one that can actually give to us what we actually desire, which is grace and forgiveness from God himself. And one day, the ability to be in his kingdom where there's no more pain and suffering. And we are able to do that not by trying really hard, not by being really good people, but by trusting in the providence of God and what he has done through Christ. Again, there are no accidents in God's providence.